I know PlayStation fanboys like to make all of this talk about, oh, my native Xbox and Mrs. Laura Fryer. Mrs. Laura Fryer, by the way, shout out to you. Welcome to, the craziness of this whole conversation. But in your missive, there's something a lot of people missed out on. You see, selective hearing is great, but you said something that I I think is very important. You were one of the founders of the original Xbox team, right? So you know a lot about the technical side. Let me go ahead and see if I can parse something that you said very, very succinctly here that actually stands out. I don't know. I don't think. Okay, let me just listen to this.
So, given the Xbox was already built on Windows,
So, given the Xbox was already built on Windows? Oh, wait. Did y'all hear that?
given the Xbox was already built on Windows,
Now, this is within her criticism of Windows, where she admits that she personally doesn't like Windows. Okay? Now, what she said here, for some people, is so controversial, and I'm thinking to myself, she's a regular computer user. If you are a PC person and you use PCs a lot, and you talk to people who use PCs a lot, not talking about you Mac folk, sit down in the corner, okay? We're not talking about you. It's all right. Thumbs up to you, man. Hey, you're Gucci, man. You do you, okay? We're talking about people who are just like using Windows and stuff. You're going to meet a good number of people that use Linux. In fact, some in the Windows category will be like, yeah, I use Windows, but I have me a side Mac that I'm, just enjoying and not dealing with some of the challenges I find on Windows. That is very common. Okay? I just see a lot of people jumping on, oh, she said this about Xbox and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just laughing, going, yo, a lot of these people continue to show themselves as being tourists, is what they're calling them, anyways, about the PC ecosystem. Because if what she's insinuating here is that the Xbox was built on Windows, then Microsoft choosing to pretty much build a full Windows experience option and a limited Windows experience in this new console is actually designed to pretty much go ahead and give you more, then I think she's just somewhat advertently opened up that Xbox is giving you a better proposition. In fact, even within this very, very critical video, I think, there's nothing wrong. Fair criticism is fine. There's still a few things that she mentioned that I was thinking to myself from a technical perspective on hardware. There's a lot more to this Asus handheld device than the way she actually puts it. She says something about this when it comes to this device.
because I don't see any reason why anyone would buy this piece of hardware.
She says that. I don't see any reason. But then her biggest problem was Windows. And as much as she didn't like Windows, she's like, well, at the end of the day, Windows is the foundation of Xbox. Xbox is already built on Windows. So that's not even a value proposition or a selling point. Right? So again, nobody wanted to listen to that part, though. Nobody wanted to listen to that piece. Right?
This piece of hardware. Just like the original Xbox, it's built on Windows.
Just like the original Xbox, it's built on Windows. She even mentions that previous to this. Interesting. Now, she gives a criticism about the Windows 10 to the Windows 11, and she says this.
Installed on the motherboard in order for you to upgrade. To be installed on the motherboard, users behind because they require a chip to be installed on the motherboard in order for you to upgrade.
That is a problem with Windows 10 through 11, but they're dropping that requirement. They've already talked about how Windows 11 is going to drop that requirement because there are some people who want to upgrade. They want to get a key. They have the Windows 10 license key. By the way, if you have a Windows 10 license key and you have Windows 10, your upgrade is free. You just upgrade to Windows 11, right? Some people want to maintain Windows 10 usage. They talked about support of it. They said they were going to charge for support. I think they've dropped that. Honestly, I'm not seeing the difference between Windows 10 and Windows 11 in many cases. To be honest, I use both of them. And now that they've sorted out a lot of the compatibility issues, Windows 11 is not doing the crazy stuff it was doing at its onset, right? So when she says that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, it seems like she's probably talking about the TPMS requirement back then. And you know what's crazy? Apple has also done this when it was moving from, its X32 to X64 or something like that. I remember one time I had this Apple computer that I bought from someone who was used. I wanted to explore what the Apple ecosystem was. And I could not install newer Mac operating systems on it. I was just literally locked dead in. Now, that's old architecture to new architecture. I understand. But again, I've seen this happen before in the different ecosystems, even though it's different. It's not, it's apples to freaking papayas. Okay. That's the comparison that I'm actually giving here. Now, here's where I thought that there may have been some really interesting thought processes going on with this particular video when she said this.
Plan. They are betting the entire business on Game Pass and leaving the hardware innovation to their partners at Asus.
That is absolutely far from the truth. In fact, this video over here, Sarah Bond literally says that they are co-engineering hardware with AMD. The language that she uses is the same language that Jack Hune of AMD, one of the SVPs, is using as well while talking about the partnership with Mark Cerny of PlayStation. If you listen carefully to what Mrs. Bond says, it's very interesting how it's, in my opinion, radically different from what Mrs. Fryer is actually positing out here. I mean, check it out.
Partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next-generation Xbox consoles, in your living room and in your hands.
So they are co-engineering this. Some people have said, well, I just can't believe what Xbox says. You know, it's just hard to believe Xbox on what they say, you know? And I say, okay, if you can't believe what Xbox says, why not go ahead and listen to Lisa Su about their Xbox partnership, who is the boss of AMD. So Mrs. Su, let me go ahead and put her Twitter post about this same matter on here, where she says, so proud to continue our deep partnership with Xbox 3PO, and Sarah Bond to bring the next generation gaming experiences to gamers everywhere. Mrs. Fryer concludes that
This wasn't surprising. Hardware is expensive to make. It's much easier to slap an Xbox sticker on an existing piece of hardware and call it a day.
But is that what they're doing? Is the Rogue Ally X and the Xbox Ally X simply a slap an Xbox sticker? Or was there a concerted effort to design the handheld like an Xbox device, as claimed by Linus Tech when he did his own first preview?
Sleek console like the Nintendo Switch 2. But that decision was made for a number of very good reasons. See, the goal from the Xbox team was to take the Xbox controller experience and translate that to a handheld PC. That means large, contoured grips, full-sized analog sticks, a subtly angled screen to improve neck ergonomics, and, in the X version, impulse triggers like we first saw with the Xbox One.
So you mean to tell me that this device has been specifically designed to carry Xbox aesthetics and Xbox functionality? And I don't know if you caught it, Linus Tech Tips, Freudian slip, called it a console and a PC. So as Xbox and as Asus has been calling there's a handheld console PC, there's a likelihood that this is also going to come out with a similar branding or description in its moniker.
I assumed Microsoft wouldn't provide competing devices at this first look, so I brought a whole backpack of them, and
So he went ahead and he does this whole comparison.
the most obvious one is, of course, the original Ally, and the interface is extremely similar, with only the rhombus-shaped Xbox button really being added by comparison. This is used to access the Game Bar overlay and Armory Crate, which raises an interesting question. What's the Armory Crate button here for then? I don't know. I've asked if maybe it could be a reconfigurable macro button going forward. I got a firm maybe on that. Realistically, a lot of things are still up in the air on this. The back is completely different and really shows how much Asus, probably with some help from the Microsoft team, has learned about ergonomics over the last couple of years.
Interesting.
Even though this is a heavy device, very much like the Ally X, which at least managed to lose the squared off corners, it feels lighter. And I was really unsure about the angled screen. Honestly, I kind of thought I'd hate it. But but I completely forgot about it when I was using it, and it just feels natural.
Now listen to where he talks about the ergonomics.
I think they nailed the ergonomics on this, though ironically, it actually feels a little closer to the curves of the DualSense than it does to the Xbox controller. Not that I'm saying that's a bad thing.
Bro, this device is physically, ergonomically, aesthetically distinct from the Rogue Ally X. Its interface is similar, right? Yes, it is a Rogue Xbox Ally X, an Asus Rogue Xbox Ally X. And as you will see for different devices, right, that are made by partners, there's usually an aesthetic that is carried by the manufacturer themselves. For instance, if you buy a gigabyte graphics card and you look at it, if you've looked at enough gigabyte graphics cards, you can look at one from a picture and be like, that's a gigabyte graphics card. Shoot, if you look at an XFX graphics card, you guys know how the XFX QICK graphics cards look? Some of you may be looking like, what the heck does that look like? Google it. They almost carry a specific aesthetics that follows them. An EVGA card. You can tell an EVGA card from 20 miles away, but it is not an NVIDIA card just because it has the EVGA aesthetics. This is what we've been trying to educate a lot of the fanboys about, and many of them are refusing the sense. So I think Mrs. Fryer and her assessment actually skips over this reality in terms of partnership hardware and makes it seem like Xbox is exiting the hardware business because they're doing this partnership. And she even gives the business proposition behind it, but does not talk about the reality that they're also going to be making their own lineup of hardware in partnership with AMD, just as Jack Yoon has teased his partnership, or AMD's partnership, with PlayStation with his photo of him and Mark Cerny. Ladies and gentlemen, I think there is a lot that needs to be, taken into account here. And Mrs. Fryer's video may have just been an off-the-cuff reaction to some of the market perceptions. But perception and reality, they usually stand, distinct from one another. And taking time to just assess is where I think a lot of people would gain what I think is the information that they're looking for. I'll stop here. Thank you for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.